Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates.
This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from the crossroads of the West in Utah. The time right now is 7:05 p.m.
We're barely clear on the backside of the sun, and the earth is located in the sun hitting the earth is located around 3.5 miles southeast of the earth now. The solar wind is also
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome, everybody, to our program tonight. We're going to start this program off, as we've been doing many times in the past, with the singing or the playing of the national anthem. Would everybody please rise? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us here with the singing of the playing of the national anthem. We appreciate these men and women of our armed forces who do such a great job playing the national anthem, singing the national anthem, and they also protect our country. We wish these men and women the best that we could possibly give them. We hope that God blesses them so that they can all return to their families after their tours of duty end. And that goes for our allied forces, wherever they might be. Our allies, the men and women who support their countries, who also support ours in bringing safety and security to this world. God bless you. May you all return home to your families after your tours of duty end. Thank you so much for that. Folks, we have quite a bit to talk about tonight. One of the first things that I want to talk about is what has been going on. Okay? We're going to get to earthquakes, so those of you that really want earthquakes, stick around. It's not going to be very much longer. We're going to talk extensively about earthquakes. Okay? So hang in there. The first thing I want to do is to talk about what has been going on at our border. National Guard troops and the troops of the United States Army and the Marine Corps have landed in El Paso, Texas today, and even yesterday. These men and women have been put there by the President of the United States, and also not just the President, but the Governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, has brought these men and women to full active duty. Why? Because, folks, the supposed president of this country has allowed men and women to cross into the United States without any other to do. Meaning they can come anytime they want to. He's given them marching orders to come whenever they want to. And now over 750,000 people are waiting in Mexico as we speak to cross into the United States. There are so many of them, folks. I want to show you this picture here. Okay? I'm going to enlarge this picture so you can truly see what's going on. Mostly men. Only 10% of these people are women. 1 in 1,000th person is a woman. The rest are men, ages 26 to 30, crossing into the United States. These are people who came through the part of the border that did not have fencing. The part of the border that did not have fencing, and you can see a huge gap in the fence right here. You can see all these people waiting on the United States side of the fence for Customs Border Protection to come and process them and allow them free entry into the United States. Customs Border Protection had previously said you may not cross into the United States at any other place but a border checkpoint. A border checkpoint. And that's the only place you could come. But they have not listened. And everywhere where there's not a border fence, these people have been lining up against the fence waiting for Customs Border Protection to come and process them. Now, folks, that's not all. There's more. Okay? I want to show you something else. Okay? We also have had the National Guard and the Army putting up razor wire up and down the entire area where the border fence is not. I've seen video, and I can't put it up right now because we don't have permission to show it. But we have video where the United States Army has put up razor wire, 6 to 8 foot high razor wire. And this hopefully will prevent some people from not crossing, at least until they get somebody with bolt cutters and cut through the wire and move the wire away, and then people can again stream into the United States unharmed and can do whatever they want to do. Okay? This is what they're doing. Okay? Our military has put up razor wire as a barrier to these people. And they're still coming. Like I said, the numbers are staggering. Over 750,000 people are scheduled to arrive in Texas and Arizona on Thursday. Soldiers now that have been tasked as the Texas Tactical Border Force landed in El Paso, Texas, ahead of President Biden's ending of Title 42 in 2 days. These men and women of our armed forces will help intercept and repel large groups of migrants attempting to enter Texas illegally. Again, to intercept and repel. President Biden initially said that these men and women of the National Guard, there would be 1,500 of them that would only assist in processing. Well, the general said, The Northern Command general said these men and women of our armed forces will be repelling this onslaught of people from Mexico. They will intercept and repel large groups of migrants attempting to enter Texas illegally. That's what's going on. Let no one else even say anything else. These men and women are tasked to stop it from happening. Okay? That's the bottom line. They're not going to come through. Not now, not ever, we hope. Okay? They've been coming through for a very long time. We now have the ability to stop some of that. At least the Texas governor having activated the National Guard in Texas, and I'm sure some of the National Guard from other states are also coming to help interdict these people coming in to this country. Again, 95% of them are men, 26 to 30 years old. That tells a complete story. I also saw another video earlier today. Again, we don't have permission to air it, but someone else was down alongside the border, and before these people were crossing the border, they were leaving their IDs around a tree. And unfortunately, someone with a sinister idea put up candles with symbols on them. These were Satanists. And these migrants do not want to be identified when they come in the United States, so they drop their IDs at the border before they cross. So when they come over, they can come over as anybody they want to represent. Okay? Again, some of them are even people who have been let out of prison. Okay? It's crazy. It's insane. It's insane, guys. But that is what is going on. Okay? Now, there's something else that I want to talk about. Okay? Something happened on Friday. A petrochemical plant explosion in Texas. Okay? Officials are investigating a massive fire at a Shell petrochemical plant in Texas that sent 9 contractors to a Texas hospital. It was an industrial accident that caused a huge fire to break out at the Shell Deer Park chemical plant about 3 p.m. on Friday this past week. Large flames caused dark black smoke clouds to billow from the industrial chemical plant that's 20 miles east of Houston. Now, we have covered other petrochemical plants and oil refinery explosions in the past. I remember 2 specifically, but this is also a big deal. On those other fires, we covered them live because it happened in the middle of the night. The fire raged overnight Friday into Saturday until it was extinguished on Saturday morning. The blaze caused, like I said, 9 contractors to be transported and evaluated at a local hospital. The workers at the plant have since been released from the hospital. Local residents over there near Houston complained that there were loud noises coming from the burning chemical plant Friday night. John Hollywood told KPRC TV, "We've been getting a high noise like a jet engine running from the flares." Probably, and the flares, guys, are towers that are venting off toxic gases so they would not explode at the ground level. They are fires that sit atop towers, high towers above the plant, that are burning off toxic fumes. That's what he's talking about. Now, probably about 3 a.m. Saturday morning, this man called the Deer Park Police Department complaining about the noise. Shell Oil said the rumbling noise was emergency crews that were trying to put out the fire, which was causing flaring and noise. Shell said it was working to minimize the noise. Shell officials said the fire started while the olefins unit, OLEFINS, the oil fins unit was undergoing routine maintenance. It ignited and cracked heavy gas and oil and cracked light oil and gasoline. Officials said they did not detect any dangerous chemicals and there was no danger to the nearby community. Okay? Officials said they didn't detect any dangerous chemicals. Well, what is oil? What is gasoline? And the other chemicals that they derive from the oil. Those are dangerous chemicals. Okay? Said they didn't detect any dangerous chemicals. Isn't that interesting? On Saturday, Shell Deer Park Chemicals facility issued a statement on Twitter. The fire at Shell's Deer Park Chemicals facility has been extinguished. We continue to monitor the affected area for hotspots that can reignite. Air monitoring continues and no harmful levels of chemicals have been detected. Okay? Again, here Shell Oil said that no harmful levels of chemicals have been detected, and there's no danger to the nearby community. Current response activities are being conducted at the facility, and they're causing some flaring and noise, which we are continuing to minimize. Our immediate priorities remain the safety of people and the environment, and we continue to work in cooperation with local and state regulators. Dr. Raman Krishnamurti, who is a Chief Energy Officer at the University of Houston and Professor of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering and Petroleum Engineering and Chemistry, warned that it is too early to tell if it is safe or if the area dislodged an industrial accident. Okay? The big guy, the professor, the guy in the know about biomolecular engineering and chemistry, said it's too early to tell if it's safe. The reason is, he said, you've got incomplete burning of hydrocarbons. Incomplete burning of hydrocarbons, guys. When you have oil and gas burning, like you see in this photo here, it's incomplete burning of hydrocarbons. Krishnamurti said things like gasoline, diesel fuel, and jet fuel, we call them hydrocarbons. That's crude oil. This is incomplete burning of it, which means some of those hydrocarbons are being released directly into the atmosphere. Krishnamurti said that the fire could have been much worse. This happened in the middle of the day on Friday, and they were able to identify it as a heat exchange. It wasn't a reaction. It wasn't a reactor, or in a distillation column. In many ways, this is the kind of thing we can handle quite well with few repercussions. He said, I would say we got lucky with this particular fire. The Shell website states that the chemical plant manufactures base chemicals or raw material chemicals and sells them to other chemical companies that turn them into thousands of consumer products. Thousands of consumer products. Shell lists the Deer Park's facility's key chemical plant business categories as light oilfins, ethylene, propylene, and butylenes for plastics. Isn't that exactly what happened over in Ohio? If any of you have not yet seen our coverage of the Palestine, Ohio train derailment, this is exactly what happened over there. Several train cars, if I remember right, there were 3 train cars that were carrying propylenes and butylenes. And they drained those chemicals into a great big huge ditch that they had dug. And then they lit that ditch on fire. Incomplete burning of hydrocarbons. Okay? All that stuff went up in a blaze. Okay? But the Deer Park facility has light oilfins, ethylene, propylene, and butylenes for plastics, pharmaceuticals, insecticides, antifreeze, and detergents. Heavy oilfins, isoprene, butadiene, and piperine for latex paints, adhesives, tapes, wire coating, synthetic rubbers, and ink. And then phenol, PHENOL, phenol and acetone for plastics, wood preservatives, dyes, antiseptic products, agricultural chemicals, and other products. That's what that plant had that burned. Okay? Wonderful thing, huh? It's incredible. It's no small wonder that there was not a major event there. It's no small wonder what happened there. Unfortunately, it did happen. And I have a feeling that there's going to be repercussions coming. We do not have something like that happen where nothing's going on and it's swept under the rug. So I think we're going to see more. Now there's something else that happened on Saturday. Some of you heard about this. No, I did not cover this yesterday. I honestly believed in my heart that it was too fresh to talk about yesterday. That's why we did not even broach the subject. In Allen, Texas, there was another mall shooting. A gentleman got out of his car. And the police have not yet identified him. He parked right near the front of this outlet mall and started shooting. This man killed 18 people. He wounded 3 victims who are in critical condition and 4 others that are in stable condition. Then a police officer who was at the mall on another call saw him and neutralized him, took him out. So a total of 9 people are dead with that shooting. 3 victims in critical condition and 4 others in stable condition. Allen Fire Department Chief Jonathan Boyd confirmed that at least 9 people were taken to local hospitals. There were multiple victims, including children. Medical City Healthcare said 8 victims ranging from 5 years old to 61 years old are being treated at their facilities. The Cline County Sheriff confirmed that the shooter is dead at the crime scene in Allen, Texas. The shooter was neutralized about 3:36 p.m. by a single police officer who had responded to an unrelated call at the Allen Premium Outlet Mall. Allen Police Chief Brian Harvey said during the press briefing, he heard gunshots and went to the gunshots, engaged the subject, and neutralized the suspect. Police say the suspect is not from Allen, Texas. The identity of the shooter was not released. Police and agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, Tobacco, and Explosives have descended on this man's home, and they're investigating him personally. Witnesses reported dozens of gunshots and forced the mall to go into a lockdown mode. The shooter fired between 50 to 100 shots. There's an active, ongoing investigation still underway. The Dallas office of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives said its personnel responded. Allen Police Chief Brian Harvey said, "This is a tragedy. People are looking for answers. We're sorry for those families that are experiencing that loss." Texas Governor Greg Abbott said in a statement, "Our hearts are with the people of Allen, Texas tonight during this unspeakable tragedy. I've been in contact with Mayor Folk, Department of Public Service Director McCraw, as well as other state and local leaders, and offered the full support of the state of Texas to local officials to ensure all needed assistance and resources are swiftly deployed, including Department of Public Safety officers, Texas Rangers, and investigative resources." Okay? So that's what happened in Texas on Saturday. It's a very unfortunate thing that these killers go into malls and then use the malls as their killing ground. This is happening over and over and over again, and it must come to a stop. This cannot continue. Like I said previously, National Guard troops have arrived in Texas and Arizona. President Biden has ended Title 42 as of Thursday. And like I said, over 750,000 people are going to be descending on the border. That's called a border invasion. A border invasion. Now I want to speak about Mr. T before we go into earthquakes. Today, Mr. T won a partial victory in court. Some of you may have already heard. The jury has rejected a writer's claim. The woman that was claiming to be raped, the jury rejected her claim, but the jury found Mr. T liable for battery in the 1996 attack. And Mr. T is going to have to pay this woman $2 million. It was a civil trial. Okay? The statute of limitations ended 7 years after 1992. Statute of limitations ended in 1998. This is just one more thing to try to discredit Mr. T. Okay? Just one more thing to discredit Mr. T. But he won a partial victory there. Now, does anybody have any questions about what we've already covered? Yeah, Tuloco 16 says battery. As for verbal battery, defamation, a bunch of nothing. Yeah, pretty much it. Okay? Verbal battery. Yeah, that was it. Now, what you need to know, guys, in this case, and a lot of people don't understand it, battery is not doing anything more than either verbally or physically attacking someone. If I reached out and touched you, and you really did not want my finger to touch your person, my finger touching you is battery on you. Anytime you touch someone, in this case, Mr. T had told the public that this woman had constantly been on him, which is true. But he continued to press that case in the media. Rightfully so, but she claimed battery. She claimed battery. If you threaten to touch someone, or threaten them with any physical violence, that is assault. The physical touch, whether it's a punch or just a light touch, that's called battery. So in legal terms, assault and battery is when you threaten somebody either verbally or threaten somebody physically that you might harm them, and then you actually touch them. Whether it's a punch or a touch, that's called battery. Assault and battery. Okay? That's how you break it down. Okay? That's exactly how you break it down. Richard Smith is saying that the Weymouth fire is still burning in Nova Scotia. It is. Yesterday there were 1,600 acres burning in Nova Scotia, Canada. Now it is still burning, and I don't remember the last count of hectares or acreage that has been burned. But it is a lot of land that's been burned. Okay? Loco 16 in the chat says the statute they used to get the case past the statute of limitations was for minors, not for her. But the judge allowed it. Okay? So Mr. T has grounds for a countersuit and grounds to also take it back and bring it back into court, because the statute they used was not meant for adults. Okay? The statute they used was not meant for adults, and so since they pulled that kind of stunt in order to get it before the courts, in order to get it in front of the media, Mr. T has a huge possible win coming. Okay? He may throw it back into their faces. Okay? Mr. T may throw it back in their faces, and I actually hope he does. Don Patoka, one of my mods and one of my best friends, says to keep it tied up in court. Yeah, that's exactly why they did it. Okay? Unreal. And Rebecca Griffith said that her cat died 6 years ago, and he's her heavenly angel. And that's great. That's great. Anyway, guys, does anybody else have any questions here? By the way, Linda Covington, who's also here in the chat, also sent us a donation over on Venmo. We greatly appreciate that, Linda, and honestly, I will use that to buy some goodies and treats for my four-legged family members here. So thank you, Linda. We appreciate that. God bless you. We really appreciate that. Yeah, Heidi Petrick says, and keep everyone distracted. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Okay, guys, let's go down and talk about earthquakes. I enjoy talking about earthquakes. I enjoy talking about a lot of things. Earthquakes can hurt a lot of people. And we have basically proven that when these earthquakes strike, this seismic energy moves. And when it moves, it can move to a different area and strike again and again and again. That's why we want to talk about all these earthquakes. Okay? Now, I'm going to start up here in the Aleutian Islands. Okay? Just west of mainland Alaska. This is a large earthquake, a 5.0 magnitude earthquake in the Aleutian Islands. This is the Fox Islands. This is considered to be the Fox Islands. Notice where it's located. Okay? Notice where it's located. To the south, we have a volcano. We have another volcano, and even another one right there. That's to the west. The west, actually the west and south. Okay? And then to the north, here's another volcano. This is right between volcanoes, guys. This is right between volcanoes. Yes, this could very well be tectonic, and it probably is. But it would not surprise me that this also may be magmatic. Because, folks, magma at an earthquake fault can heat up that fault and make it easier for the plate to move. Easier for the fault to move. In this case, since we have volcanoes, you know there's a magma chamber there. Okay? And it's possible, yes, it is possible, that an earthquake fault in this area with magma, the magma could seep into the fault as well. We've seen this happen in the past. I've studied it. Today we had a 5.0 magnitude earthquake up here in the Aleutian Islands, right between volcanoes. Let's see where this goes. I don't think this is the end of earthquakes in this area, or even volcanic action in this area. Further west and south, this is another minor earthquake tremor. This is 0.9, 1.0 magnitude tremor. Guess where it's at? It's at another volcano. It's at a cotton picking another volcano. Okay? It's incredible, guys. We see this happening all the time. Literally all the time. And then there's this earthquake just off the coast, the east coast of Kamchatka Peninsula. This is a 4.6 moderate earthquake, a mid-range moderate earthquake, 47 kilometers deep. A 4.6 earthquake just off the east coast of Kamchatka Peninsula. Look where it's at. This seismic energy will also be going through the Aleutian Island chain. Okay? And it will reach Alaska at some point. Further south, over here on the southern tip of Kamchatka Peninsula, this is another 4.5 mid-range moderate earthquake. This is 63 kilometers east of Ozur, in, yes, I don't know Russian. I should say no, I don't know Russian. And I know I'm going to butcher this name of this town. Ozernovsky. 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 Ozernovsky, Russia. in the Kamchatka Peninsula. A 4.5 earthquake. Okay? A 4.5 magnitude earthquake. And that's not all, folks. There's more. There's more. I want to go back down here to the eastern side of Japan. Remember we had a 6.3 magnitude earthquake here the other day? Yesterday we had another 5.0. Now we have a 5.3 earthquake in this same area. These are aftershocks. Anytime we get a very strong earthquake, as we had in that 6.3 earthquake, we will continue to have aftershocks for a great long time. Yesterday, a 5.0, large earthquake. Large earthquakes can do damage. This earthquake was right offshore here. Right offshore. A 5.3 earthquake. It was close enough to shore to be felt onshore to anybody living in this area. And yes, there are people that are living in this area. This is 46 kilometers northeast of Anamizu. Right. Ananizu. Anamizu, Japan. Another 5.3 magnitude earthquake that hit this area. An aftershock. Okay? An aftershock. It's not the only one, guys. There's more. Over here to the northern end of Honshu Island, Japan, we have another 4.0. This 4.0 is 166 kilometers deep. Fairly deep. But it's not deep in terms of we've had 500 and 600 kilometer deep earthquakes. This is minor. Okay? This is a 4.0 minor earthquake. It's a moderate earthquake. Okay? The only damage it can do is knock pictures off of walls and knickknacks off of shelves and knock books off of shelves. Okay? And shake people's feelings up. Okay? You get irritated, folks, when you feel earthquakes doing things to you, especially when you're not expecting it. This one is one of those times. Okay? This is a moderate earthquake, 4.0, small, on the small side of the moderate scale. Over here off the east coast, this is another earthquake, another moderate earthquake. It's a 4.4. Okay? This one's 53.6 kilometers deep. Okay? It's right off the coast. Now, folks, this is in water. This is 31 kilometers east-southeast of Noda, Japan. I believe, for the most part, the waters of the Pacific Ocean here absorbed the shaking of this quake. Okay? That's what I believe. But this earthquake here on land shook some people up. And this just happened. This just happened within the last 45 minutes. But that's not all, folks. There's more. There's more. We go down here south, down here in the Mariana Island chain to Guam. This is another 5.0 magnitude earthquake. This one is southwest of Guam, 149 kilometers southwest of Guam. The ocean waters absorbed this earthquake. It was far enough away from land that nobody even felt this earthquake at all. 149 kilometers is a long distance. Nobody probably even felt anything, much more than maybe some tapping underneath their feet. Maybe. Okay? That's what usually happens. Now, this yellow earthquake here, this earthquake happened yesterday. This is a 4.5 in the Molucca Sea. Okay? This is in northwestern Indonesia. Okay? You don't see too many earthquakes here, do you? As I said before in other programs, this is nothing. There are about 20 earthquakes here in Indonesia today, and they're not showing much of anything at all. Going over here to Tual, Indonesia, this is a 4.4 magnitude earthquake, a moderate earthquake, 122 kilometers deep, just northeast of there. This is south of the south coast of Papua, Indonesia. This is a 4.7 magnitude earthquake. This is 10.0 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. We go over here to Papua New Guinea. This also is a 4.5 earthquake in eastern Papua New Guinea. This is 213 kilometers deep. Now, these people here, okay, I don't believe at all that there's anybody living in any of these smaller islands here. Okay? There may be people that live over here closer into Papua New Guinea. But I don't believe anybody even felt this earthquake. 4.5 magnitude earthquake here in Papua New Guinea today. As we move east, okay? As we move east, over here in the Solomon Islands, we have another 4.9, 5.0 large earthquake. USGS says this is a 4.9. It came out as a 5.1. It was downgraded to a 4.9. I'm still calling this a 5.0 magnitude earthquake, regardless of what this agency says. This agency's full of crap. Okay? This is 149 kilometers southeast of Kira, Solomon Islands. Nobody felt this large earthquake at all. At all. Okay? Over here to the west. This happened earlier today. Earlier this morning. 9:42 a.m. this morning. This is a 5.1 magnitude earthquake. This happened near Port Blair in the what is it called? The Andaman Islands. In the Andaman Islands. 100 kilometers southwest of Port Blair, India. Okay? Across the ocean from India. This is in the Andaman Islands. We've been having a series of large and moderate earthquakes in this area for about 2 months now. This is just one more large earthquake. And it is closer to the Andaman Islands than it is to India. Now, some of these Andaman Islands are occupied, inhabited. Okay? Some of them. There are minor villages in some of these islands. Now, I don't even know, I haven't even looked at this particular island. I think there's somebody living down here, right here. Okay? I don't know about the western side of the island. Okay? Down here south, I don't really see any villages down here at all. Okay? Let me zoom in down here. No, these are cliffs. So I don't think we have any villages down here. Let's go further north here and see what we see. Like I said, most of these islands are not occupied. Yes, this one appears to have some beaches on the western side of it. Now, I have friends of mine that have sailed this area, and for the most part, when they get to the Andaman Islands, they can have their pick of beaches because most of the beaches are uninhabited. Okay? They can park their sailboats just offshore and take a dinghy in here and play in the water in the sand. Okay? But like I said, I don't believe that there are any inhabitants that would have felt that earthquake. Okay? I just don't. Okay? Some of the islands are small like this one. Okay? Nobody lives there. But this earthquake was far enough away from the Andaman Islands to not really cause any consternation from anybody. Okay? But that's what's going on there. Now, as for Europe, okay, let's move towards Europe here. Over here in Tajikistan today, we had a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. It's a low-grade moderate earthquake, okay, 12 kilometers deep, not a big deal. In Tajikistan, we've seen moderate and large earthquakes hitting here a lot. Further south over here into Iran, we had a 4.4 here. This is near a place that is always getting hit. Bandar-e Lenge, Iran. A 4.4 magnitude earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. We go over here to Syria, Egypt, and Israel. Okay? This is where I get a little bit peeved. Okay? We show one earthquake over here in Syria. Fa Qani, Syria. A 4.4 earthquake. USGS still refuses to acknowledge that there are over 100 earthquakes over here along the Turkey-Syrian border, right here. They refuse to acknowledge the earthquakes. They're not showing anything here. Over here, closer to central Turkey, Rulu, Turkey, is a 4.1 magnitude earthquake. 9 kilometers northwest of Kulu, Turkey. Down here in the southern Dokkanese Islands off of western Turkey. This particular island here is owned by Turkey, though. It's a 4.3 earthquake here. 29 kilometers west-southwest of Uludeniz, Turkey. Okay? These islands here are considered the Dokkanese Islands. This earthquake happened over here in the ocean, in the Mediterranean Sea. I don't believe anybody even felt this earthquake, a moderate 4.3 out in the ocean waters. Okay? But again, this is not the only earthquake. There's probably another 20 earthquakes all over this area. Nobody's saying a word. Around Crete, this island of Crete belongs to Greece here, if you don't already know. Earthquakes down around here, going up into Greece. There's about 20-25 earthquakes here in Greece. They're not saying a word. There are more earthquakes over here in Sicily and Italy. Not saying a word. More earthquakes over here in Northern Europe. Nobody's saying a word. Okay? Over here in the Alps, the Italian Alps, the Swiss Alps, the German Alps, the Austrian Alps, they're not saying anything. Most of these earthquakes are anywhere from 1.2 all the way up to 2.7. And the other day we had a 4.7, upwards of a 4.7 anyway, over here in the Swiss Alps. Right over here in the Swiss Alps. A 4.7 earthquake last week. Wonderful thing. USGS doesn't cover it. Out of sight, out of mind. Earthquakes in France, they're not saying. Earthquakes right at the border of France and Spain, usually have 1.2s to 2.7s here. They're not showing anything here. Okay? We have earthquakes there. We have earthquakes all over here in Spain. They're not, or actually all over southern Spain. They're not saying anything. Earthquakes over here south of Spain, between Spain and Africa here, Spain and Morocco. There just happens to be an earthquake fault that you see here. There are earthquakes here, just east of the Strait of Gibraltar. An earthquake over here in Portugal. But they're not saying anything, right? Not a word. Not a word. It's incredible. It really is incredible. We have earthquakes hitting over here in Iceland, yet they don't say anything. They don't say anything. As Richard told us, we have a fire raging over here in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. Yesterday we had 3 earthquakes over here in this area as well, in Quebec. Minor earthquakes, but 3 earthquakes nonetheless. Okay? Now, over here, this is an earthquake near Bermuda. This is in the Bermuda region. This is a 4.3 earthquake here. We don't usually see earthquakes here, that's why I'm talking about it. A 4.3 earthquake here near Bermuda. Can't talk. Bermuda. Okay? Down here, Puerto Rico. We're going to see earthquakes here for a very long time. We've told you what happened here almost 4 years ago. Down here off the coast, this is a 3.3. Yes, folks, we've had earthquakes all the way out here off the coast of Puerto Rico as a result of man-made earthquakes nearly 4 years ago. There's also a 2.3 here. Not surprising. These other earthquakes on shore here, 2.5, 2.4, 2.6. Just north of there, a 1.5 minor tremor. Further north here, this is a 2.2 near Sabana Anus, Puerto Rico. A 2.2 earthquake. These are going to continue for a very long time after 2 major earthquakes hit here. Okay? That's what happened down here in the Caribbean today. Over here in Central America, this is a 4.6 moderate earthquake here in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, 16 kilometers west-northwest of La Cruz, Costa Rica. Okay? Just a moderate earthquake. Yes, there was some shaking here, but not too big a deal. But where are the other earthquakes here? Where are the other earthquakes? There's nearly a dozen earthquakes here in Central America. Why are they not talking about it? Okay? There's at least 2 dozen earthquakes here in southern Mexico. Why are we not seeing it? Okay? USBS. We're showing only 2 earthquakes over here in northern Chile. Why? Because they refuse to talk about the other 20. Here's a 4.1 over here near Abrapampa, Argentina. This is the border area of Chile and Argentina. Abrapampa, Argentina. We've seen earthquakes here a lot. A lot. Just north of here, this is a 4.4 near Atocha, Bolivia. Again, on the border between Chile and Bolivia. A 4.4 magnitude earthquake. Now this, folks, is deeper. This is 236 kilometers deep. That's a big deal. 236 kilometers deep. It's a mid-range deep earthquake. Again, the deep earthquakes we've seen are 500, 600 kilometers deep. Those are meaningful because that would mean that these earthquakes are going to spread and spread rapidly because they are deep quakes. This one is not that deep. 4.4 quake. This one, 4.1 Pampa, Argentina. This is 295 kilometers deep. Okay, this is also a mid-range deep quake. Where are the other quakes here? Are they not meaningful enough for this agency, this misguided agency here? Yeah, I said it, and I'm not taking that back. I'm not. Over here in the Numatid region, in the Numatid quake region, the Numatid fault. This is a 1.5 in southeastern Missouri. 1.5 southeastern Missouri, and here's a 1.8. Okay? These are just tremors here. Tomorrow when we talk about these earthquakes in the Numatid area, I will bet you that we're going to see 3s and maybe even 4.0 earthquakes here in Missouri and Arkansas. Okay? The Numatid fault. Okay? We used to see a lot of these minor tremors here. Both of these are minor tremors. We used to see a lot of them. And that's all they were minor tremors back in the day. 2 and 3 years ago. Not anymore. These minor tremors have gone into being earthquakes. 2.0, 2.5, 2.7, 3.0, 3.5 small quakes, and even upwards of a 4.7 here on the Numatid fault. Just in the last year. Yes, we are talking about the Numatid fault, and we're not going to stop. There's going to be an earthquake on the Numatid fault very soon. Over here in Oklahoma, we're getting swarms of earthquakes in Oklahoma. Oil and gas quakes for the most part. Oil and gas quakes. This one here is a minor tremor, 1.7 tremor, near Mill Creek, Oklahoma. This one northeast of there, this one is a 1.8 near Wardville, Oklahoma. This red one that just hit, this is a 2.1 magnitude earthquake. This is a minor earthquake. The others are tremors. This is a minor earthquake. Let's go check and see what's going on. Already we see that we have oil and gas pumping operations. We see oil and gas pumping operations. All of these plots here are oil and gas pumping operations, guys. Oil and gas pumping operation there, one there, one over here, down here. And I can't get any closer zooming in here. I'm just showing you. One right there. One over here. Okay. Oil and gas pumping causes earthquakes, fracking earthquakes. Okay. This one's a 2.1 earthquake. This one here is a 2.3. Velma, Oklahoma. These are minor earthquakes, probably not even felt. People do not usually feel anything unless it's above a 3.2, 3.5. Then you're going to feel them. These are minor quakes. This one here down southwest, this is a 2.4. 8 kilometers northwest of Velma, Oklahoma. Okay? So Velma got hit. Okay? not just one but 3 earthquakes today. Okay? This one up north. This one is in Pocasset, Oklahoma. Now, up until the last month, we had not seen any earthquakes at all, I don't think, at least in the past 4 years, near Pocasset, Oklahoma. This is a 1.4 tremor here. A 1.4 tremor. Now, folks, this is also oil and gas. This is also oil and gas. Off over right here, okay, there's an oil and gas pumping operation there. I saw one other one here earlier. There's one over here, right there. Now, folks, if these earthquakes hit in an area within about 6 to 10 miles, it's usually an oil and gas fracking quake. And that's what this is. It's right in the middle of oil and gas pumping operations. Okay? They're all over Oklahoma. All over Oklahoma. Some time ago, someone told me there's 586,000 oil and gas pumping operations in Oklahoma alone. More into Kansas and Nebraska as well, and south in Texas. Thousands of hundreds of thousands of oil and gas pumping operations in Texas. Big oil. Big oil. Okay? So those are the earthquakes and tremors over here in Oklahoma today. Okay? It's a big deal. It's a real big deal. Okay? Over here in southwestern Texas. It's still happening. These are all oil and gas quakes. This is a 2.6 near Toyah, Texas. This is a 2.4. USGS has this always as in White City, New Mexico. It's not. This is still in southern Texas, regardless of what USGS says. Southern Texas. And I can zoom in here and we can see oil and gas pumping operations all over this area. Oil and gas quakes over here in southwestern Texas. Okay? Let's go over here to Southern California again. Okay? We don't see much happening here, do we? No. They're not showing any earthquakes at all over here near Mexicali or Heber, California. The only earthquake they're showing is over here in Ocotillo Wells. A 1.4 magnitude tremor. A 1.4 magnitude tremor, folks. They're not showing us anything. Not showing us anything. But I'll tell you, there are earthquakes. There are over 150 earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley today. Over 150 earthquakes in the Imperial Valley. And they're not showing any. They're showing this one over near the Salton City. Salton City. This is south of the Salton City. Salton City was a town near the Salton Sea right here. This was an old town. It's now a ghost town. All we have now are earthquakes that hit in this area. This is a 1.1 tremor here. 1.1 tremor. Then we go over here up to the northwest. This is Borrego Springs. This is part of the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park in northeast San Diego County. Okay, the Anza Gap. Look at these tremors here. All tremors except this one. Actually, this one is also 1.1. I thought this was a 2.2. I thought I saw 2.2 here earlier. The 0.9. This is 0.3. This one here is a 1.1 tremor near Idlewild, California. the Anza Gap area, guys. The Anza Gap. Okay? Over here, Lake Henshaw, just northeast of Escondido, California. We go north from there. This one again is near the Palomar Observatory Telescope, at 0.9 on Palomar Mountain today. This is the Elsinore Fault region. That's why these two earthquakes hit. They're on the Elsinore Fault. Over here, this is Marietta Hot Springs, also near the Elsinore Fault. Marietta Hot Springs doesn't get hit very often, but it did today. Okay? Now, I'm going to go in here, into the valley here. This is a quarry blast. Okay? This is a quarry blast. Look where it's at. It's actually near a quarry. Yes, there's a full-blown quarry here in Chula Vista, California. Chula Vista, California. This is south of San Diego City. South of San Diego City. A quarry blast. Finally, the BS agency got it right. Okay? Just to the north of there are homes. A bunch of homes. This football field belongs to a high school, Otay Lakes High School. Okay? Right next to a quarry. Can you imagine going to school and feel quarry blasts, a 1.5 tremor? You're going to feel it over in the school. You're close to it. I don't even think there's a quarter of a mile between the high school and the quarry blast. Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, guys. But this time USGS got it right. They don't usually get it right. Almost never. Almost never. Go figure. Go figure. This one here is Anaheim. Good old Anaheim. A 0.8 microquake in Anaheim, California. Remember us showing you seismograms from Anaheim, Light Hype, and State Street area? Near Long Beach? Anaheim's near Long Beach, guys. A 0.8 minor microquake in Anaheim, California. I don't think it's the only one. I don't think it's the only one. Up here to the north, Ridgecrest. Ridgecrest, California. Go figure. Here's a 0.9, and here's a 1.5 tremor. Ridgecrest, California. Okay? Up here is Little Lake, California. 0.8. Little Lake, California. Not much else happening here. Not much else happening except over here on the San Andreas Fault. This is Tres Pinos again. Tres Pinos. Minor tremor. 1.6. South is the Pinnacles, which is on the San Andreas Fault, and it's also an oil and gas pumping operation here. 1.2 tremor and a 1.8 at the Pinnacles. Further south on the San Andreas Fault, this is San Ardo, California. A 1.1 tremor. On the San Andreas Fault. Oh, goody, goody, goody. Goody, goody, goody. Now, on the southeast side of San Francisco Bay, this is Milpitas, California. We've had swarms of earthquakes and tremors here in Milpitas before, and nothing's happened. This is one lone tremor here, 1.0, near Milpitas, California. Okay? On the north side of San Francisco Bay up here. This is Penn Grove, California, 1.5 tremor. Further north we have the geysers. We always have the geysers. There's anywhere from 20 to 40 earthquakes here every day. Most of those are 1.2s, 1.7s, 2.2s, 2.5s, and occasionally we get a 3 or even a 4 here. Not very often. We just got hit by an earthquake in red. Just barely hit. And look what we have. They froze my map. That's only a 1.7 tremor there. Over here in the geysers. Now folks, I'm going to drop it here. We have some tremors up at Mount Hood. We have some tremors up at Mount Rainier. We have tremors and earthquakes also at Rainier and Helens and Hood and Glacier Peak, Baker, yeah, all over. Let's go look at those earthquakes and tremors. There are quite a few of them. I think you're going to like this, okay? Folks, this is up near the Canadian border, just south of the Canadian border. This is Watts County, Washington, Mount Baker. Mount Baker is a volcano, okay? This is Shuckson. This is a ski resort at Mount Baker, okay? Look what's happened here at Mount Baker today. And I'm not going to stop with this seismogram. I'm going to show you another one. I'm going to prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that this agency is baked in stupidity. The agency that put this seismogram together is the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. And yes, I know we have people from the Seismic Network here that are monitoring this channel. They always do, as well as people from the USPS. Linda Covington's asking me to check emails. Yes, I will do that. Thank you, Linda. I will definitely check emails in just a few minutes. But folks, this is Mount Baker, the ski resort of Mount Baker. You can see that thick red line here, okay? You can see it thicker on the left-hand side, and then it gets thinner to the right. What does that really mean? Usually it means there's magma there, and there's less and less magma. But folks, usually we see a lot more going on there. We see a lot more going on. At one point there, we see the line get thinner and get thicker immediately. Yes, that does happen. Okay, but this one gets thinner and thinner and thinner over a 15-minute time period. Then at 8 p.m., this is yesterday, guys. This activity occurred yesterday. At 8 p.m. on that black line. That black line represents about 4 to 5 minutes. Okay? In this case, it doesn't mean squat. Not squat. We do not have earthquake seismograms. We don't have magma pulse signals that just start abruptly like this one does, and it ends abruptly. Yes, there is a thinner line there. But folks, it doesn't end and start that way with a thin line. This is false. I believe both of these lines are false information. That red line above it is at 7:15. 7:15 yesterday, and just after 8 yesterday afternoon. or should I say yesterday evening. Okay? Then as we go to midnight, okay, it says 000 hours, midnight. The red line is the 12:15 line. Okay? Again, this line is crap. It starts off over on the left-hand side, but over on the right-hand side, where it should have started at 8:14, it didn't. All of a sudden, this line just starts up. Then it gets thinner, and then it disappears. This line, black line at 1 o'clock this morning, it lasts for about a minute or even 30 seconds. It wasn't quite a minute, but maybe 30 seconds. And it ends. It doesn't work that way. These other lines do work this way. You see active magma, okay? Over here at 5 a.m., or actually on the red line it's 5:15, okay? Every 15 minutes here is a new line. But you see this line here is somewhat thick, and it gets thinner again, and then it gets thicker, and we have blobs of magma here. And we have vertical lines here, don't we? Those vertical lines are tremors caused by magma. Magma inside the volcano that's fracturing rock, causing tremors. And that fracturing rock can also cause earthquakes. But that's what we're seeing here. That's exactly what we're seeing here. And then it goes on all the way down that line. But again, it doesn't continue on the next line, which would be 5:30 in the morning. So not all of this is correct. They are only showing what they want us to see and no more. Okay? They're not doing anybody a service here. Okay? But you see a lot of activity here. I will give them that. We're seeing a bunch of activity. A bunch. We're seeing tremors. And even that red vertical line there. See that red vertical line here? Over on the right-hand side here? Right center? This one is after 7:15, and over here it would most likely be about 7:25 this morning. That, folks, is probably a 3.0 earthquake. A momentary, if it's not 3.0, it's 2.8, 2.9, but it's still an earthquake. You see a dot in the middle of it, that's an earthquake. Okay? If you see vertical lines with no dots, those are steam signals. Steam signals, guys. But you see a lot of earthquakes here, don't you? You see a bunch of tremors here. That's what happens at volcanoes. Earthquakes and tremors. Okay? Earthquakes and tremors. Now, I'm going to pull this down here because I'm going to show you another seismogram at Mount Baker. And this seismogram, guys, is a seismogram that shows magma coming into the magma chamber of the volcano. All these wavy lines here indicate magma coming into the volcano. Look where these lines are. Up at the very top is yesterday afternoon at 5 o'clock over on the left-hand side. It goes for 2 hours here till 7 o'clock. Very light magma activity. Then just after 7 p.m., guys, that's when we get more and more magma coming into the magma chamber at Mount Baker. You can see it here. This is vivid imagery of what's actually going on at the volcano. So what we just got through showing you, which is actually the main seismogram at Shuxin, is all crap. It's only showing us a limited amount of information. Most of it is crap. Because if this is actually happening at the volcano, there should be a lot more activity, right? Yeah. But they're not showing it. They're only showing us what they want us to see. That's why I'm showing you this particular seismogram. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt what's going on at Mount Baker. A lot of magma. There's going to be earthquakes and tremors as a result of this major amount of magma coming into this volcano. And it is a major amount. When we get these wavy VLF lines, very low frequency lines, this indicates a large amount of magma. Okay? So what they're trying to tell us is bull. It's full of bull. All day long, full of bull. Now, down here at the bottom, it shows a little bit of decrease in activity. A little bit of decrease in activity here. At the top yesterday, between 5 and 7 p.m., it was quiet. Fairly quiet. Down here, it is a little busier than it was yesterday afternoon. Okay? So you can see what I'm talking about. This is why I'm saying and showing you what I'm showing you. I want you to understand what is really going on. We're seeing a lot of activity here, yet on the main seismogram, we're seeing very little. They only want us to see what they want us to see and no more. Mount Baker is very active. Let there be no doubt that Mount Baker is very active. Now, I tried to get another volcano that's just southwest of Mount Baker called Constitution. Mount Constitution is nothing. It doesn't show us anything. There's some tiny vertical lines there and nothing else. Okay? That means nothing. Because what's going on at Mount Baker is also going on at Mount Constitution and Glacier Peak and Rainier and St. Helens and Hood and Newberry and Bachelor and all the other volcanoes. They really don't want us to see what is going on. I just show you what's going on. Okay? Glacier Peak is the next stop. This is north of Mount Rainier. Very little activity at all. There are no other seismograms but this to show. This seismograph is a single channel seismograph. It doesn't show much at all. It's supposed to show us earthquakes. It's supposed to show us steam coming from the volcano. All we're seeing here are minor tremors and maybe an occasional steam pump. Because there are some tiny steam lines. Tiny vertical lines with no dots in the middle of them. Those are steam. The tiny vertical lines with dots are tremors. This red line here, this signal here is called a magma churn signal. Superheated magma causes that. Magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. Let's count the number of lines here. Okay? Let me magnify this a little bit more so you can see it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines high. Folks, this is like 50% of real world, supposedly. This seismogram should supposedly show us 50% of what's really happening at Glacier Peak. But I question it. Why do I question it? See that red line that goes to the right and goes to the left, this magma churn signal? The magma churn signal might be right, but that red line has no ups and downs in it. There's no increase in magma. There's no decrease in magma. That's what you should see on a line like this. Magma pulse signal. An increase and decrease in magma during that 15-minute time period. That's not what we're seeing. And we see no other evidence of earthquakes or magma coming into this volcano. Now, there's another reason why I question what is going on here at Glacier Peak. All we see are tiny tremors here. That's it. Okay? That's it. Now, you can see some tremors that almost form a perpendicular line, a sideways line. I question that. I question that. Because tremors don't usually happen where they would form a perpendicular line. Okay? And if we have tremors, we also have magma coming into the magma chamber. And we're not seeing any of that. We're not seeing any of that here. At the very bottom, we may have, very bottom of this seismogram, we may have some magma churn signals working here. But even here, there's only one real line showing any kind of magma churn signal, where there's almost nothing and it turns into a little something. And then it turns into a little something for a total of maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes, 12 or 15 minutes. It doesn't usually work that way. So all I'm saying here is they have put here a seismogram that they would have everybody to believe is real, but I believe that they have made it up. They do this thing all the time. They make up activity that really does not exist. There's probably a lot more activity here at Glacier Peak. Okay? But we haven't shown much at all here at Glacier Peak in the past. It's because there's nothing to show. There's really nothing to show. That means they falsified the data. All the rest of the volcanoes are moving. They're showing tremors and earthquakes all over. Why is Glacier Peak not showing that? Okay? So I'm questioning it. Everybody should question it. You don't even have to believe me. Question everything. Find out the truth for it yourself. Okay? Let's go south to Mount Rainier. This is Camp Muir. This is over on the southern flank of Mount Rainier, right below the summit of Mount Rainier. This is Camp Muir. Now, folks, we have to believe most of what's going on here, okay? Because seismographs here really don't lie. Yes, they hide things. They do hide things. But one seismogram could be bad, and then the other one could be good. What we have here at Mount Rainier are seismograms that agree. They agree. A lot of activity on all the seismograms. In this case, I have to believe that. We have to believe it. Because if one seismogram has a lot of activity and they're all that way, you have to believe that. Okay? Now, this one is at Camp Muir, okay, on the southern flank of Mount Rainier. Look at the tremors and the earthquakes here. Okay? Now I'm going to enlarge this. I'm going to pull it up here so you can see exactly what I'm showing you, so you can understand it. The top of this, the top inch of it that you can see here is last night from 10 p.m. to midnight. Yes, we had a bunch of tremors, just very minor tremors here. Then after midnight here, we see some tremors, yes, but all of a sudden we see at least a 1.7 tremor. That's a pretty big deal, and that was just after 2 a.m. this morning. Just about 2:03, 2:04 a.m. this morning. Then this one here is a thicker earthquake, a thicker seismic event. The top and the bottom of this seismic event has been cut off. Okay? This happened after 4:25 a.m. this morning, possibly 4:26. This event lasted a full minute. You see the thickness of this quake. It lasted a full minute. Out to the right of that, you see a large triangle going off to the right. That is a secondary quake. The bigger portion of this quake is primary waves. Okay? There were many primary waves back to back to back here. This would be a 2.0 earthquake normally, but they've cut off the top and cut off the bottom of this signal, this seismic signal. This quake, looking at what we're seeing right here in terms of the primary wave and the secondary wave to the right, I'm saying this is at least a 3.0 earthquake. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake, a small earthquake that can be felt by anyone that's on or around the mountain. It's at least a small 3.0 earthquake. Now we see a bunch of other tremors here, and also we see some earthquakes. See this light blue earthquake off here to the left? This one happened at about 8:46 a.m. this morning. Actually, no, it happened just after 9 a.m., 9:01 a.m. this morning. Okay? It looks to me that that's a 2.0 earthquake. It might be larger. It lasted just a few seconds. Now we see several others that are like that. Larger earthquakes. For example, this one here that is after about 10:50 a.m. this morning. 10:50 a.m. this morning. This one looks to be at least a 2.2, 2.5 earthquake. Maybe larger. Then we have another fairly thick earthquake down here to the right. Okay? This happened after about 10:55 a.m. this morning. Again, this looks to be a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake. It might even be a little bit larger than that. And you can see other seismic energy here. Tremors and earthquakes all day long here. Literally all day long here at Mount Rainier. Okay? This is a lot of activity. This is a lot of activity at Mount Rainier. And it, folks, is backed up by all the other seismograms. Emerald Ridge, Camp Sherman, and even Para, which is the Paradise Precip Tower. Paradise, Washington Precip Tower, and it's just southeast of Mount Rainier. And even that seismogram shows a lot of activity. Okay? We're seeing it. We're seeing this activity on all the seismographs. Now, let me quickly show you Camp Muir here. Look at this one. Pretty much the same as the other one, right? Oh yeah. When you see multiple seismograms just like this, you start to believe what they're seeing. Yes, they've turned down these seismographs, or the seismographs. They've turned them down to show the seismographs, or seismograms, excuse me. Seismogram is the paper, seismograph is a machine. They turned down the machine, and so what is showing on the seismogram is smaller. Is in reality smaller than what it normally would show. They turned down the seismograph. Now, let me show you something else, guys. I get a kick out of this. This, folks, is a spectrogram at Mount Rainier. This comes from Emerald Ridge. This spectrogram is a show of heat. Heat coming upwards to the surface of Mount Rainier here, the surface of the volcano. The heat starts at the bottom where the magma is. Look over here to the left-hand side of the spectrogram at the bottom. That's a lot of heat, right? Look at the heat signals going up. That's a lot of heat. Look over to the right. Those light blue, agua blue signals here, that's a lot of heat reaching the surface of this volcano. This volcano is going to have hot spots. This volcano is having hot spots because the heat of the magma is reaching to the surface. Okay? Now, I want to show you one other one just like this. This comes from the Paradise Precip Tower. Okay? Look at this. This is even more virulent. Okay? Look at the heat rising from the magma here. This is incredible, guys. Yes, this is Mount Rainier. This is Mount Rainier. This is wild. Okay? Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? So Mount Rainier is very active. Now I'm going to go down and show you Mount St. Helens. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, I'm going to show you Sugar Bowl at Mount St. Helens. This is a USGS seismogram. Okay? Mount St. Helens is very active. Look at the tremors and earthquakes hitting Mount St. Helens today. Okay? Unreal. This is on the north side of Mount St. Helens. That's where this seismograph is. You can see these, guys. Some of these earthquakes at the top are very thick, aren't they? That means the shaking lasted a lot longer than just a second or two. Okay? The shaking lasted about 10, 15, 20 seconds in this case. Look at the secondary wave on both of these earthquakes. It goes out for another 30 seconds or so. Both of these earthquakes were larger than what they're saying they are. They're larger. They're not being truthful. Look what happens at 03:45 on the left-hand side. That's 3:45 a.m. this morning. See all that magma coming in? Okay? You're seeing magma pulse signal. A lot of magma coming in. It gets thinner and gets thicker again here. Look at this earthquake. A 2.0 earthquake right there. 3:46 a.m. this morning. We've seen many earthquakes here this morning, haven't we? Guess what, guys? It continues here. Okay? But with these earthquakes, where is the magma that supports these earthquakes? It's not showing us the magma. Why not? Has the agency washed out the magma? Magma causes the earthquakes, right? Yeah. But here, we're not seeing much magma. Okay? So I question what they did with the magma. If these earthquakes are real, and there's no question in my mind that they're real, what happened with all the magma that would have caused these earthquakes? Down here at the bottom, look at these earthquakes here. This is still a lot of active earthquakes. Still a lot of active tremors as well. Where is the magma supporting these earthquakes? Why did they wash it out? Okay, we've seen this happen before. They wash out the activity and just show bare minimum activity. Okay? That's Sugar Bowl, Mount St. Helens. This one is Lamberson Butte. I'm sorry, this is Mount Hood. My bad. My bad. That's Mount Hood. We're going to show you Mount Hood in just a second. Showing you Mount Hood in just a second. I want to show you something else. Okay? I want to show you Mount St. Helens September lobe. This is the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network explanation of what's going on at September lobe. This is the main seismogram at September lobe. We don't see any magma coming into the magma chamber. There's no magma pulse activity. All we're seeing here are tiny tremors, and I mean tiny, and then we see an earthquake or two. For example, this earthquake just after about 4:50 this morning. Okay, that's a good sized quake. Just by itself, it's at least a 2.9 magnitude earthquake, maybe a 3.0. What happened here with the rest of the seismic activity? Is it washed out, or is the magma supporting it? Okay? You see what I'm saying here? What are they doing with it? Why are they only showing us part of what's going on? Let me show you something. On this particular seismograph, it's a multi-channel seismograph, so we're actually seeing a lot more activity. Okay? For example, right here. Here we see September lobe, but this time we're seeing all the magma activity here. The magma coming into the volcano. Look at this that happened last night. Mount St. Helens was very active last night, wasn't it? Why are they not showing us what was going on? Why are they playing these games with us? Not showing us the activity. Okay? You can see there's plenty of magma here last night. And a little bit early this morning. Why are they not showing it? Yesterday afternoon into last night, they're showing us activity. But nothing else, very little of anything else. Early this morning, a little bit of activity. What happened to the activity, Pacific Northwest Seismic Network? Why are you not showing us what is going on? We don't see anything going on yesterday afternoon and evening at Mount St. Helens. Yet there was. Then this lone earthquake here, this lone earthquake today, happened when a little bit of activity got going. But where's the magma? Why are they not showing the magma pulse signals? Okay? VOF signals don't lie. There's a lot of magma there, and yet they're not showing it. Okay? Let's drop down to Mount Hood. This is Lamberson Butte at Mount Hood. This is over on the eastern side of Mount Hood. Okay? Look at the activity here. We see a lot of magma pulse activity here, meaning the magma thin, getting thicker lines and getting thinner again. We see the magma pulse activity here. Magma coming into the magma chamber of the volcano. Look what happened early this morning. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber, and at times it almost completely washed out the white of the paper. There was so much magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Hood. And this is just one seismogram. It continues to show some magma pulse activity, but not much. Okay? Let's take a look at another seismogram here at Mount Hood. I have a few to show you here. And I have explanations for those seismograms. Okay? That was Lamberson Butte. How about Mount Hood Meadows? This is the southern end of Mount Hood. Hood Meadows. Okay? Now, we're not seeing a ton of activity here. Why not? Because the agency is washing it out. Look at all this activity today. Look at all that activity this afternoon. A ton of it. And tremors and earthquakes hitting this afternoon at Mount Hood. It's not the only one here. Let's look at Palmer Lift. Now this is at the upper top of Mount Hood. Look what we're seeing here. Look what we're seeing here, guys. Look at all this tremor activity here. This is a ton of activity at Mount Hood. Yes, it's small activity. Small activity. The tremors are indicative of the magma that's coming into the magma chamber. And you can at least see magma coming into the magma chamber that would cause these tremors. On this seismogram. Look what happened this afternoon. Okay? Yes, it's limited. Because again, I believe they washed out some of the activity. Because on the activity that we have, we see magma coming into the magma chamber and we see these tremors hitting. These good-sized tremors hitting. Okay? This, folks, is Palmer Lift at the top of the volcano. Now, I'm going to show you another seismogram at the bottom southern side of Mount Hood. There's a reason. There's a very good reason. The first one I'm going to show you is the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Okay? This is good, guys. Hang in here with me on this. You're going to enjoy this. Okay? You're going to really enjoy this. Linda Covington says, "Hi, Don. Maybe more people should call, write, and email. Let them know we're not being fooled." Oh, yeah, I agree. Linda, you are absolutely right. Okay? Roxy Trim is saying, "Wes, please do not use capital letters in your post. I've instructed my mods guys not to allow any capital letters." Why? Because this platform, the YouTube platform, takes capital letters as yelling. We don't use capital letters here. Please, guys, do not do that. YouTube could boot me from this channel. I don't want to be booted from this channel. Please abide by the rules. Please. Okay? But this is actually happening. Look at these earthquakes and tremors all over Mount Hood here. Now, folks, this is a good one. This is Hood Timberline. This is on the southern lower part of Mount Hood, the volcano. Now, why am I pressing this? Because Mount Hood actually had tremors. Mount Hood had tremors that the United States Geological Survey recognized, and we have proof of it. Okay? But at least here on the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, we can see what happened. And in fact, look at that bottom red one. Okay? Not the bottom red line, but this happened at 10:15. Actually, it was 10:15 on the far left. This is about 10:19 a.m. this morning. That was a good sized earthquake that USGS did not show. All USGS showed was tremors. This, folks, is at least a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. At least a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. And there's several quakes here. It's not just one. Look how long that this event happened. This is why I'm saying that this event was a big deal. It was probably a lot larger than a 2.2, 2.5 magnitude earthquake. Okay? That is a seismogram from Timberline at the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Let's look at the same seismogram coming from the Pacific Northwest, or not Pacific Northwest, the USGS. Okay? Let's look at what they have to see here. Okay? Up at the top, we see some minor tremors here, don't we? As we get going throughout the day today, look what happens. Okay? The top inch or so is last night, starting at 10 o'clock last night. And down from that, you see midnight. 12 midnight last night. Then on and on through this morning. Look what's happening. We see a little bit of increase in magma here. Okay? We have some magma pulse going on. Okay? We get thicker lines and thinner lines and thicker lines and thinner lines. And we see the activity. We see tremors. Look at these tremors today. This is exactly what we saw on the USGS map. This is exactly what we saw on the USGS map. Let me show you. Okay? Let me show you the records of what we have here. And this is pretty important because we don't usually see this. It just does not happen. Okay? It just doesn't happen. Right here. Okay? Look at this. We're seeing tremors here on the lower side of Mount Hood. On the lower side of Mount Hood. Government camp is Timberline. Government camp is Timberline. Here is a 0.85 tremor. Actually, it's a microquake. I'm calling it a tremor. A 0.85. Here is a 0.69. This is a 0.72. You can see what happened here, guys. We are actually seeing what is going on here. We actually see recognition of what we see on the seismogram. We don't usually see this, guys. They hide it. They hide it. And we've seen it time and time and time again. Okay? Now, I'm only going to show you a couple more seismograms here. Okay? I want to show you what's going on at Newberry Volcano. Newberry Volcano is south of Mount Hood. Okay? Newberry Volcano has been active in the past. They thought last year at one point that Newberry Volcano may go ballistic and erupt. Look at the activity here. Again, the top of this thing for about the first inch or so is last night, 10 p.m. to midnight. That's still a lot of activity late last night, but that activity still went on a good share of the morning here until almost 6 a.m. this morning. That's an awful lot of magma activity at Newberry Volcano. Then, just below that, they shut off the seismograph. Look at that. They shut off the seismograph several times there after that good-sized amount of activity. Then, folks, they turn the magnitude down. They turn the machine down where it almost doesn't show anything at all. How can you tell? Because it goes down to nothing. It goes down to absolutely nothing. They turn the machine down. Volcanoes do not completely disappear. The magma does not completely disappear. Not like that. Okay? That's Newberry. Now, just quickly, I'm going to go over to Mount Shasta. Yes, this is in Northern California. Mount Shasta in Northern California. I want to show you this. This is only one of 11 seismograms that we should be seeing. All 10 of the others don't show anything. Not nothing. Not nothing. Look what happened last night, yesterday afternoon at Mount Lassen. The red lines here are generated by the computer to get the seismologist to look at it. This is important. That's what the red lines are for, to get the seismologist's attention. Look at all that seismic activity caused by magma going into the volcano. What happened to the rest of the day until this afternoon? Right there. Okay? What happened to this afternoon? Let's look at it. We had a little bit of activity, didn't we? They turned down the seismicity of the machine for several hours. It went down to almost nothing. Then they turned it up a little bit, and all of a sudden we start seeing activity at Mount Shasta. Okay? You can see it. We had activity, then we almost had nothing. They turned down the machine. I call that abhorrent. It's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. Let me show you something here. This is the map of Mount Shasta. All these triangles here represent seismographs around Mount Shasta and up at Medicine Lake, which is a smaller volcano to the northeast of Mount Shasta. There are 3 seismographs on that. All 3 seismographs show crap. Nothing but abstract or nothing at all. 2 of the seismograms show nothing at all at Medicine Lake. The other one is artifact, crap. There was at least 1 seismogram at at Medicine Lake that was usually available that showed activity. But guys, they turned it off. Mount Shasta, just around Mount Shasta, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down here to the right. 11, 12 down here to the bottom and to the left. 12 seismographs all around this mountain. And they have shut those down. Only 1 seismograph works, or 1 seismograph is allowed to work here at Mount Shasta. I showed you that. I showed you that. Mount Lassen is the same way. Let me show you a seismogram from Mount Lassen. Right here. And this is pretty lousy. Look at the activity here. The activity here starts at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Look at all the magma here. Look at all the magma. The vertical lines for the most part here at the top, that's all steam signal. That's all steam signal. Now, look at down here at the bottom. Look down here at the bottom. There's magma there, but there's virtually no earthquakes. I think we may have 6 tremors here, and that's all. And yet it appears, because these lines are thicker, that there's a lot of magma which could cause earthquakes and bigger tremors, but they're not showing them. You see these thin vertical lines here? Those are steam signals. Some you see curlicues on them. Let me enlarge this here. See the curlicues here? These are steam signals. Mount Lassen is steaming. Mount Shasta is steaming. Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, Mount Baker are all steaming. Let me show you something else that's very interesting about Mount Hood. Okay? This is today at Mount Hood. Look at this. This is Mount Hood steaming today. Okay? You saw me show you the tremors and minor quakes that are happening at Mount Hood. Mount Hood is steaming because there is magma going up into the upper magma chamber of this volcano. The upper magma chamber of the volcano. And the magma is hammering away at, the plug of the volcano. My left hand here represents a plug. The lines between my fingers are fissures in the plug. How does that happen? How do the fissures happen at the top of the volcano at the plug? The magma comes up from underneath and it's hammering, literally hammering, pushing on that plug. The heat of the magma is also helping those fissures to develop as that magma hammers on that big lava rock at the top of the volcano. When the magma hammers on it, pretty soon fissures open up. And that hot magma is also causing heat to go up through those fissures. Just like that. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. So that steam goes up, as that steam is being released from the magma from below, it's going up through those cracks in the plug of the volcano. That's what you're seeing here. That is exactly what you're seeing here at Mount Hood. This is the other picture I have for you. Let me enlarge it. You can see a lot more steam here. Look at that. Now, somebody earlier in one of our chat room or messenger chats threads that we have said this is a cloud. Yes, you could identify this as a steam cloud from Mount Hood. The steam coming up from the inside of the volcano, forcing its way up through the plug, is gathering at the summit of the volcano. And high pressure, there's a high pressure system in there, in the atmosphere, and it's keeping the steam cloud around the summit of the volcano. That's what we're seeing here. It looks like a Japanese hat on top of the volcano. Okay? That's a steam cloud at the top of Mount Hood today. Okay? Isn't that cool? Now, I did save that for the end of this presentation because I wanted you to see what's going on. Okay? This is important. Every one of these volcanoes is active. Every one of these volcanoes has magma inside it, and this proves it. It proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt. There's holes in that magma or that volcanic plug, in that big huge lava rock at the summit of the volcano. There's holes in it. Those holes result in the release of steam. Okay? 6 to 7% of all magma is water. Okay? It's water. Now, folks, we have a lot more information we want to share with you tomorrow night. I'm going to go over to New Madrid Fault and show you what's going on. The last few weeks has been very eventful. We've seen larger earthquakes, even 3 weeks ago. Let's see what's going on now. I guarantee you're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow night. Folks, please share this program with everybody you see. We have 127 thumbs up. I appreciate that. Folks, if you've enjoyed this presentation tonight, please give us thumbs up on your way out. Please tell your friends, your neighbors, your family, extended family, your social media contacts, and even the people you work with about Emergency Management Associates. Tell them to come over here and watch this video. Show it to them. Better yet, show it to them. Okay? This is going on. A lot of our audience lives in the Washington, Oregon, and Northern California area. You all are going to be affected when these volcanoes finally light off. They are going to light off at some point in time. They're going to. Okay? They're all showing signs of it. Mount Lassen and Mount Shasta as well. Mount Lassen and Mount Shasta are the southern part of the Cascade Mountain Range, going from southwestern Canada all the way down to Northern California, the Cascade Mountain Range. These are volcanoes. Okay? It's going to happen. We've had earthquakes off the coast of Canada and off the coast of Washington and Oregon and California. The Cascade area, the Cascadia earthquake faults, they're all active. Let's keep our eyes open as to what is going on. Before I leave you tonight, I want to leave you with a couple scriptures. Well, a few scriptures. I'm going to start off with chapter 4 of 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 10. We are fools for Christ's sake. But Paul is talking very seriously about you and I. We are wise in Christ. We are weak, but ye are strong. Ye are honorable, but we are despised. That describes us. We're honorable, but we are despised for being who we are, representatives of the Savior himself. Let's go down to verse 14 of chapter 6. Paul continues here. I write these things not these things to shame you, but as my beloved sons I warn you. For though ye have 10,000 instructors in Christ, yet have ye not many fathers. For in Christ Jesus I have begotten you through the gospel. Wherefore, I beseech you, be ye followers of me. Be ye followers of me, the gospel of Jesus Christ. In verse 17, for this cause have I sent you Timothy, who is my beloved son and faithful in the Lord, who shall bring you into remembrance of my ways which be in Christ, as I teach you everywhere, as I teach everywhere in every church. Folks, let's know this. We are representatives of the Savior, just as Timothy is, Timothy, and Paul being an apostle. Okay? Now in verse 18. Now some are puffed up, as though I would not come to you. But I will come to you shortly, if the Lord will, and will know not the speech of them which are puffed up, but the power of the word of God. Verse 20. For the kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. What will ye, shall I come unto you with a rod, or in love, and in the spirit of meekness? Yes, brothers and sisters, we can be meek. We might be meek and lowly in heart, but we have the power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. The gospel of Jesus Christ can heal us. The gospel of Jesus Christ can be the power in our lives and in the lives of the people that we love and associate with. Brothers and sisters, I leave that message as a testimony to you. God loves us. Jesus Christ is our elder brother. He died for our sins. He died and was resurrected so that we might be able to be resurrected beings and live once again with our Heavenly Father in our Heavenly Father's kingdom. I hope you can remember this. Please pass that message on to everybody else as well. Everybody needs to see it. Everybody needs to hear it. Everybody needs to feel it. May God be with you this day and always. I love each and every one of you. I really do. I love you all, and I will always be here for you. Always. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you around the corner, either tonight or tomorrow evening. When there's another event happening, we will be coming back to you as soon as the information becomes available. Good night, everybody. Much love. We'll see you soon. Good night.